Hey everybody, Shane here, Shoebox Legends. Thanks for stopping by for another episode. I'm going to talk today about some additions that I picked up for my Negro Leagues project and the Z-Folio binder that I'm putting together. Specifically, I have a goal of completing a 360 card Z-Folio as sort of a tribute to the Negro Leagues and cards related to those leagues. So a lot of what we're going to see today is going to go into that binder that is a work in progress. All of these cards were part of a Sportlots box order that I recently had shipped to my house from maybe the past 5 or 6 months of accumulating cheap pickups. All these cards, many of these were under $1. I think the majority of these were under $1, if not all of them. So let's start off with a couple Josh Gibson cards. This one that you've seen in the background here, beautiful mini out of Panini Golden Age. This set came out over a decade ago now. And this is kind of cracked me up, the Hindu back. Hindu cork tip, the totally different cigarette. So pretty funny, 50-cent card, can't go wrong. Just kind of unique opportunity to add a little bit of Josh Gibson to the collection. And from the same seller and from the same Panini Golden Age release, I found this full size, I forget what these are called. I think it's the National Game. They have like a playing card feel on the back, although the corners are not rounded. And then I found another seller who had a copy as well. These were $1 each. So I picked up two. I figure maybe one can go in the binder and another one can stay in my top-loaded collection, or maybe I'll send one off to a hobby friend in the future. We'll see. But for $1 each, happy to have two of those. A really nice, simple-looking card. And then the next cards are going to be really 3 groups that I picked up with the Z-Folio in mind. So I actually mapped out, like in a notepad file, all 40 pages of the Z, 9 cards per page, 40 pages in the binder, and kind of designated some areas for specific sets that I'm aware of that did a good job representing these leagues. And one that I think many of you know, the Ted Williams baseball release. I think there were 2 sets, one that came out in '93, which we're going to look at first, and then a follow-up set in '94. And as you can see, based on this title card, these are the 93s. There was a subset within the main set, cards 97 through 115, that paid homage to the Negro Leagues. And here's the back of the checklist. So these are all the players on the subset, including the checklist itself. And we'll just take a quick look through these. I'm not going to give a breakdown on these guys' careers. This is not the place for that, and I have too many cards to get through today. Suffice it to say, I think there are 19 of these. So if I leave this checklist card out of the picture, I can use the other 18, all the player subjects on the 93 Ted Williams set, and I'm going to lay them out across 2 pages in the Z-Folio, and they'll fill that two-page spread perfectly. So we've got James Cool Papa Bell. Some of these are going to be names you've probably heard of. Others I'm going to guess you haven't, like Garnett Blair. So really great representation here. Great job by Ted Williams and his company getting these guys included. Gene Benson. These are going to look gorgeous, kind of laid out in the binder. Lyman Bostock Sr. And of course, look at the bison on the uniform here. Like, that is just beyond cool. I don't know what team that is. I'm going to have to look that up. Does it say on the back? Winnipeg Buffaloes. He played for in 50 and 51, and that's when this photograph would have been taken. I mean, how cool is that? All of these cards that we're looking at from Ted Williams, I paid 20 cents a piece. So you're talking, fill up the entire 2-page spread in the Z-Folio for, about maybe $4, under $4. Marlon Carter. I'm not familiar with some of these guys myself, I have to admit. Oscar Charleston. Those of you who have read the Baseball 100 by Joe Posnanski, you'll recall that he was incredibly high up on that list and one of the great mysteries of old-time baseball. Ray Dandridge, probably a more common player that would likely that you've heard of him out of this group. Mullen Duckett, I've got some other cards of his that I'll be featuring down the line. Cowan Hyde, I'm not familiar with him. Judy Johnson, one of the premier infielders in Negro Leagues history. Yeah, these are going to look fantastic. Buck Leonard, a player who I have many, many cards of. I've talked about a good deal of times here on the channel. John Henry Pop Lloyd for the Farley Stars. I just find these so cool. Lester Lockett, His on-card autograph is resident in the Negro Leagues Z-Folio. Max Manning, the great Satchel Paige, of course. Armando Vasquez, and then Smokey Williams to close it out. So those will be laid out. And then in the very next section, oh, actually I skipped one because this card came in a top loader, of course, Josh Gibson. And this was also 20 cents, which I was a little bit surprised by. I figured this would have blown up to at least $1 or $2 with everything that's gone on over the last year. But that completes that 93 subset. And then in the following year, in 94, Ted Williams' company was added again. Here's the checklist. The Negro Leagues, it's a little bit tough to make out. Kind of wood on wood coloring there, but same deal. Here are the players that are represented. Not much, if any. I don't think there are any players necessarily, maybe one, that are represented in both. I think it's a unique checklist across the two sets. So we have Newton Allen in the 94 release here, Willard Brown, and similarly, these are going to go on a 2-page spread. Larry Brown in the Z-Folio, Leon Day. I think there is an autographed on-card auto that was pack-issued version of this card I've been trying to get my hands on. John Donaldson, Rube Foster, very famous, of course, and an important force in forming the early Negro Leagues. Bud Fowler, Vic Harris, Webster McDonald, Buck O'Neill, John Buck O'Neill, really, really happy to see this one in there. Fascinating baseball personality. Ted Radcliffe, double duty. Wilbur Rogan, known as Bullet Joe Rogan. Tony Stone. Jim Taylor. Moses Walker, Moses Fleetwood Walker. George Wilson. And then we close it out with Judson Wilson as well. So that will be a pretty fun spread in the Z. And then the last kind of grouping of cards in the 2001 Fleer Greats of the Game release, they included some former Negro Leaguers as well. Now I've shown some autographed, on-card autograph versions of these. And what I started to realize is if I focused on the on-card autos and then supplemented those with the non-autos and then some bridge players who played in the Negro Leagues and Major League Baseball, I think I have enough cards, again, for a 2-page beautiful spread, all on this same design. So these are going to be incorporated into that. Campy, really simple, beautiful design on these. There's Leon Day again for the Newark Eagles. Henry Kimbrough for the Elite Giants. And yeah, across these 3 releases, they're really, really going to bolster up the Z-Folio and kind of add some bulk to it. I have some higher end cards in there as well. But of course, with a 360 card album, they can't all be low serial numbered cards and autographs and things like that. So this is going to be perfect. Cool Papa Bell again. Sammy the Jet, we just passed by. There's Buck Leonard. Pop Lloyd. Just talked about him a moment ago. Bill Perkins. Rube Foster, there he is again. Smokey Joe Williams. And then we finish out this grouping with Oscar Charleston. So another 2-page spread that'll take place. And I will be showing off as we get closer to the end of the year, or maybe around the end of the year, I'll show off the Z-Folio in its state. You know, however far I'm able to get it between now and December 31st, I will do a reveal video and kind of take you through that page by page. It looks really, really cool. It's turning out to be a fascinating and interesting experiment, which I knew it would be. Next up, I have a small handful here. We're almost near the end of buybacks here of bridge players. So these are going to be vintage Topps cards of Major League stars, or not stars necessarily, Major League players who previously played or debuted in the Negro Leagues. We start with Walt Bond. Really awesome card here because I also love the Houston Colt 45s. And that great cap that he has on. So I'm going to have a section, similarly in the Z, of buyback cards featuring these bridge players. So here's Harry Simpson, Suitcase Simpson. Really happy with this one. Elston Howard, longtime catcher for the New York Yankees, and a well-worn, I mean, just practically beaten up buyback here. This card has been folded, legitimately folded across the bottom before, and there's tons of wrinkles and paper loss. The corners are soft, but I just adore it. Really, really fun buyback. In fact, we'll put that one up in the background here. Elston, And then just a couple more. This one I actually found in a box of buybacks that I hadn't really sorted through yet. And I didn't know at the time, years back when I bought it, what it was. But George Spriggs was a bridge player as well. And this is his rookie card. And not only that, but a Red Sox card on top of it. I think that's probably the reason I acquired it initially. But now I'm far more interested in it due to the presence of George Spriggs than I am based on the fact that it's a Red Sox card. And we close out with one of the very late bridge players, played in the Negro Leagues after they had sort of disintegrated into barnstorming and other types of teams. But Paul Casanova, great shot there with the green monster in the background for the Washington Senators. And then we started with a little bit of Josh Gibson, so we're going to close it out with some Josh Gibson as well. Picked up 2 copies of his 2021 Allen and Ginter Mini. So he's been included twice now in the Allen and Ginter base set. Once back in 2006, and I have quite a few different versions of those, including some really tough ones that I've shown before. So I wanted to get the 2021 to complement it. These were like $2 a piece. They're the standard, just regular back, no rare version or anything, but for a couple bucks, one of them will go into the Z-Folio, and I'll keep this other one in a top loader, just as part of my kind of general collection. So happy to have found a couple of those. And then the final card for today is sort of a what if, a Josh Gibson on the T206 design. This is from one of the modern day, obviously, of course, T206 releases from Topps. These are put out as online exclusives. You get different waves of packs. And they have current players, but also retired stars of yesteryear. This is just a standard Piedmont back, which I think is the most common variety of these. Just a really, really nice photograph, though. And I love the old stadium in the background. Has a very true T206 feel to it. And this one was, I think, $4. So again, nothing here broke the bank, just a bunch of discount and bargain pickups. But these are going to be really, really fun to kind of dive in, read and learn more about these players, and kind of fill out and bulk up my Negro Leagues Z-Folio in progress. So that's a wrap for today. Hope you enjoyed taking a look at these, and I'll be back soon, as you know, with some more content. But until then, enjoy the hobby. Take care.